Yes, hello everybody. Welcome to the first episode of the Daily Sports Kick. I'm so excited for this. This is going to be a really fun opportunity. I wanted to kind of do something on my own, a little more structured. I'm your host, Will Compton. Very excited to get into this. Many have asked, and yes, the podcast is coming back. Yes, I am very excited to say Ethan and I have been very busy with school and kind of conflicting schedules, but we're starting to back up on Thursday, and it'll come out on Friday, and obviously I'm very excited about that. But this is kind of something I want to do in addition. The podcast is great. It's kind of, we're drinking, we're kicking back, we're hanging out. TCU sports, I love it. But I want this to be a little bit more of a daily, structured daytime sports TV show like you'd see on ESPN or Fox. And I don't know, I think it's something really, really fun. It's to be just me. I may have a couple people call in every once in a while, some experts in different fields and that type of thing. But I think it's going to be really fun. I'm excited to see where this goes. Like I said, I'm going to try to do it every weekday. We'll see how consistent I get. But every weekday, except for Thursdays, because I'm going to save that for filming for the podcast. But I'm just going to break it down to be organized. It's going to try to be organized, different segments, different fun little games we're going to play, and I don't know, keep everyone that watches informed on sports going around the world, my takes, hot, cold, in between. I'm excited to get after it and kind of see where this goes. Obviously, this first episode is going to be a little bit raw, just like the first episode of Hit the Horn was, but yeah, I'm excited to get going. And with that, we're going to start with the scores of the day from yesterday. Lakers over the Grizzlies, 128-112. Rui Hachimura, unbelievable game. 29 points in 29 minutes off the bench. I mean, that type of spark you can't predict. Miami over the Bucks, 130-117. Giannis goes down with an injury. More on that later. 35 points from Jimmy Butler. Clips over the Suns, 115-110. Westbrook makes some big plays down the stretch, and the big three goes quiet at the end. Talk about that more later as well. Denver annihilates the T-Wolves. Sadly, I'm praying for the T-Wolves to win that series, but I just don't think it's going to happen. 109-108. Jokic has a 13-14 double-double. That guy's a walking double-double, if not a walking triple-double. Fitzpatrick over Spieth, minus 17 to win the RBC Heritage at Hilton Head. I wish I would have been able to watch more of that tournament, but as we'll get to, it was a very busy weekend in sports. Sad to see Spieth go down. Dallas boy. I'm a Dallas boy. Spieth is a really cool dude. Wish he could, hopefully I'll have more time to watch more golf this weekend. We'll see. The Rays bounce back over the Blue Jays, or my Blue Jays. Jays won the series though, but the Rays bounce back 8-1. Phillies destroy the Reds 14-3. Trey Turner 3 for 3. That guy he might be one of the best players in baseball. That I think he deserves some more love. 3 for 3 with 2 walks. He's batting 338 to start the year. Rangers over the Astros. Stuff you love to see. No one likes the Astros. Beat them 9-1. Simeon went 2 for 5 with a homer and 4 RBI. So those are the scores from the day yesterday. The ones that I think were important. Obviously, a little bit of baseball in there, a little bit of golf. But the big thing right now is NBA playoffs round 1. It was a great weekend for sports, like I said. A lot of it's a good time to be a sports fan. We got to enjoy it. We've got NHL playoffs starting tonight, which I'm super excited about. NBA playoffs are, first round's going strong. Golf's in season. Baseball just started. But, when we get to June and July, it's going to get real grim. Also, some NFL news that we're going to get to today. I'm really excited to talk about Jalen Hurts and what I think about his contract. But before all that, we'll talk about the biggest game of yesterday, Lakers, Memphis Grizzlies. Lakers took down the Memphis Grizzlies in Memphis, 128-112. Some key stats for the Lakers. We talk about winners first on this show, by the way. We don't like losers. We like to win. They get to be talked about first. In an average game for 38-year-old LeBron James, he has 21 points, 11 boards, 5 assists on 50% from the field. Anthony Davis had 22, 12, and 3 with his injury, which we will also talk about in depth. Austin Reeves, the OU product. We love Big 12 boys out here. Wichita State might try to claim him, but we know where he's coming from. 23, 3 and 4 on 8 of 13 shooting. He had 15 points in the fourth quarter. Dude was an absolute killer. 9 straight down the stretch. He's the man. Rui Hachimura, who we already talked about earlier, 29, 6 and 1 on 11 of 14 shooting from the field, 5 for 6 from 3. He's only a 31% shooter on the season from 3. So that 5 for 6, you can see why they were kind of letting him shoot a little bit, but man, he was knocking them down. So about the Lakers, they are, man, if they keep playing like this, they're a serious team. Obviously, playoffs are long, playoffs are hard. LeBron's 38. He's the best player to ever put the round ball in the sphere hoop. No, sphere ball in the round hoop. There we go. I said it right. But he's 38. He's getting old. And the fact that he had an average game and no one is talking about it for, I mean, what do you have? I just said it. 21, 11, and 5 on 50% from the field. Man, that is... If the Lakers get that night in, night out, they're going to be serious. But I think what the biggest thing to take away from this game is LeBron didn't have to do anything down the stretch, right? Like I said, the playoffs are long. They're grueling. The season is long. If you can give LeBron some rest like that, and you can have, Reeves or Rui or AD or D'Lo making big shots down the stretch, and LeBron can just sit and watch, in the games that you're going to need him, he'll be ready to go. He'll be fresh. Didn't play a whole lot of... he played a lot of minutes last night, but not a whole lot of wear and tear on his body, which I think is going to be great. If the most rest that you can give LeBron, the better, obviously. So when it becomes, conference finals, NBA finals, he's raring to go and he's fresher, man, I'll tell you what, that's going to be dangerous. He got that little bit of time off with his injury. They're the hottest team in basketball right now, I think. They are... I don't want to reveal my bracket too soon, but they're solid, man. I think Rob Pelinka, the GM of the Lakers, if you don't know who Rob Pelinka is, and Jeannie Buss, the owner, they have done a great job building this roster from the trade deadline on. They got a lot of heat for the Westbrook situation, as they should have. Westbrook was a terrible pickup for LeBron. They don't mesh really. The proof was in the pudding. He couldn't really contribute. He couldn't be his old self. I mean, look what he's doing now with the Clippers. We'll get to that game soon, but I mean, Westbrook and LeBron it wasn't a good match, and Pelinka was putting on LeBron. LeBron was putting on Pelinka, and it just wasn't working well. It just wasn't. I mean, we all saw it. We were watching the games, and if not, you were reading the scores. I mean, they started 0-5. Like, they were just not a good team to start the year. And they went to the, going to the trade deadline, they, got what they needed. D'Lo added scoring and shooting. And I tell you what, he had a little bit of a quiet game last night, but that dude, get him going. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it his whole career. He can get going in a hurry. He can create his own shot, which is huge for them when LeBron goes out or is tired or is banged up. That's huge for them, especially in the playoffs. AD showed up. I mean, he's not a trade deadline acquisition, but he's kind of, in and out of the lineup with his injuries and whatnot. Rui Hachimura showed up huge last night. I mean, 29 points off the bench. That's huge. That's huge. I mean, that wins games. I mean, we won them last night. For the most part, the starters cancel each other out. JJJ, who we'll get to in a second, Jaren Jackson Jr., kind of knocked out LeBron a little bit. Like, their stats are pretty similar. I mean, across the board, Reeves and Bane were kind of neck and neck. Ja and D'Lo were kind of neck and neck. But, I mean, at the end of the day, the Grizzlies didn't have a 29-point score off the bench. And I think that pickup, everyone liked it. And, I mean, he comes off a bench. He's not really a huge contributor, but he was last night. He was when it mattered. They left him open. Double in LeBron, double in AD, kick out. He was open. He was letting them go. And that's what you need with a bench player. Also, Jared Vanderbilt, only 4 points last night, but I tell you what, his impact was way bigger than that. I feel like every big defensive possession, he was active, he was mobile, his hands were moving. Vanderbilt's a good player, man, and he can score too. He doesn't need to on this team, which is just great. LeBron, I mean, he's not the on-ball defender he once was. Obviously, he's 38, but he had some huge chase down blocks that were fun, got the crowd involved. I mean, AD, when he was out there, I mean, if AD can get his... My dad had a great saying. He goes, my dad was a football coach growing up. He coached me hard, but he always said, "Are you hurt or are you injured?" And I'm afraid AD kind of gets those crossed sometimes. I had a friend growing up who was the same way. Every time he'd get like touched or poked, he would go down and whatever. It was just, and then he'd pop back up and go back in the game. And he was one of our best players on the football team growing up. But he would always do that. And sometimes he'd say he would do it strategically. I'm not sure if I really believe him, but he's kind of like AD. He just didn't really know when he was. I mean, AD was holding his arm, saying he couldn't move it. Comes back out, makes the first 4 points in the second half. So I'm not one to tell AD how to do his job. I'm not one to tell AD when he's healthy or hurt. But if you're hurt, you're hurt. Play through it. If you're injured, then that's a different story. But saying you can't move your arm sounds like you're injured. But you're really hurt. Played through it. I was really proud of him. Made big shots, big defensive stops down the stretch. Hopefully, if LeBron and AD can stay healthy, man, I think. I mean, this team is dangerous. I mean, they're very dangerous. I think I've got Lakers in 5. I think they're just. We'll get to the breakdown of the series. I got Lakers in 5. I think it's going to be pretty smooth sailing from here on out. But depending on who they get in the next couple rounds, a Lakers Western Conference Finals run might be in the making. That's all I'm going to say. It may be in the making. I would love a Warriors-Lakers next round. That would be so great. I think America wants that. Well, America loves Sacramento, of course. They're the underdog. I want Sacramento. Everyone wants Sacramento. But I tell you what, Steph Curry, LeBron, vintage. I would be really down for that. I'm interested to see how the Warriors would play AD and LeBron, like how they would guard it in a 7-game series, right? I mean, I know what they're going to do. They're going to pull AD out with Draymond and tire him out, and I mean, who knows what's going to happen from there. But man, I would love to see that. Let's talk about LA a little bit. Let's talk about Memphis because they did play the game, of course. Jaren Jackson Jr. had a great game, 31, 5, and 4. Had an unbelievable first half. 13 of 21 shooting, decently efficient. Bane was 22, 5, and 6 on 16 of 18. That's not right. I think he's 6 of 18, I believe. I have 16 of 8, but I believe he's 16 of 18. 3 for 10 from 3. Not the most efficient game from him, but 22 points is pretty good. He pulled his share. Ja, 18, 6, and 2, but that's not the story about Ja Morant. It's about his hand. Another injury. If you were watching the game and saw the injury, it didn't look very natural, let's say. Didn't look very good. The x-rays came back negative, but he said he couldn't even put it into a ball yesterday when he was trying to put his hand in a ball to wrap it up, and he couldn't even do that. So if you're a Memphis Grizzlies fan, that's not something you necessarily want to hear. But I think they'll be okay. If Jaren Jackson Jr. keeps playing the way that he is, I mean, he will get votes for Defensive Player of the Year. If he can kind of figure it out on AD, kind of take him out of the game a little bit, continue to score, continue to rebound, put 2 halves together like he did in the first half, correlate that to the second half, I think they'll be fine there. Desmond Bane, I mean, he had 22. He shot the ball a lot, but 22 points is still pretty good. I mean, if he gets hot from 3, he can shoot you back into a game. Assuming Ja's on 100%, you've got probably one of the 2 or 3 best backup point guards in the league in Tyus Jones. I mean, Tyus Jones has led the league in assist-to-turnover ratio the last 5 years. You can't do that and be a scrub. You can't do that and not be a good player, right? So, if they can hold on a little bit, give Ja, if they can sneak game 2 out at home, give Ja some day of rest, game, 2 days for travel. Game 3, he goes in there, maybe he's feeling back to 100%. Maybe they steal one in LA, because the longer the series goes on, the more it favors the Grizzlies. I think everyone can kind of agree on that, whether because of LeBron's age and Anthony Davis's inability to stay healthy. I think the longer the series goes, I mean, if this goes 6-7 games, Memphis has got a good shot. But if Ja, I think that's even truer now that Ja's got this injury. He already hurt this hand. It was already bandaged up, and he rolled it again. Like, if the longer the series goes, the more faith I would have in Memphis. But who knows? We'll see. Like I said, obviously it's just one game. I think Memphis. I don't know. I'm about to say I think Memphis is the better team, but I'm not sure if I actually believe that. I mean, at the end of the day, the Lakers have LeBron James, and Memphis does not. Right? LeBron can't win it on his own. Ja's a pretty good player. Jaren Jackson Jr. is pretty good. The supporting cast might be better in Memphis, but I tell you what, man. Like I said, I'm taking the Lakers in 5, and I think they'll drop the next one in. I think they'll drop game 2, and then they'll win the next 3. That's my prediction. I think they're playing too well at the right time. I mean, their defense is stifling. They're the best defensive team since the All-Star break, statistically, in basically every category in the East and the West. And the West does not play defense. Look at the stats. The West is all offense, no defense. And the East is all defense, no offense. But I think I got Lakers in 5, and with the job going down, I'm not sure it's going to be much of a fight other than, Wednesday night when they play next, or tomorrow night when they play again. I think Memphis wins at home one time, and then that's gentleman's sweep from there on for the Lakers. Alright, so we talked about one team in LA. Let's talk about the other team. And we got a lot to say about these cats. The Clippers. First off, the score. Clippers 115, Suns 110 in Phoenix. Huge win for the Clippers. I know Clippers, Kawhi, 38, 5-5 on 13 of 24. That dude is unreal. We'll get to that. Gordon had 19. Westbrook, 9, 10, and 8 on 3 of 19 shooting and 1 for 6 from 3. Suns, KD, 27, 9, and 11 on 7 of 15. Book had 26, 1, and 3 on 10 of 19. I mean, that's 2 efficient nights. We'll get to that. CP3 had 7, 11, and 10 on 2 of 8 and 1 of 2 from 3. I think this is the classic definition of regular season versus playoff basketball. The regular season, it's really about the talent and stars on your team, right? If you're the better team, typically you win, assuming, let's say, whoever has the better roster on that night usually wins. If there's injuries, if there's, someone's not playing, load management, whatever, usually the team with the better roster wins. That's obviously not always the case, but most of the time, that's how it is. But when you get to the playoffs, the teams are so evenly matched, the talent is so close, so neck and neck, and that it really comes down to want to, physicality, and defense, right? That's how you win playoff games. That's the way it's always been, and that's how it always will be, I think, in the NBA when it comes to playoff. Honestly, all playoffs, truthfully. Football's kind of that way. Football's a little bit different, but definitely in the NBA, obviously MLB is not contact, but I mean, I would say the same thing for the NHL. The more grit, want to, and physicality you have, helps you out a lot in the playoffs. And I think that was seen last night by Russell Westbrook, right? I mean, you look at the stats this morning, and you are just, you're dumbfounded. You can't look at the stats and think, you look at those stats and say, wow, the Lakers dodged a bullet. You look at those stats and say, the Suns must have blown them out with how good their team is. I mean, everyone's picking them to win the West, and maybe even the whole thing, depending on who you ask, right? I mean, they got the best trio in the league in CP3, KD, and Book. They got one of the best coaches in the league. They just, I mean, on paper, and I mean, they've got DeAndre Ayton is no scrub, even though sometimes he likes to play like it in the playoffs. He's not a scrub. He's a good player. But Westbrook, and then you look at Westbrook's stats, like 3 for 19 and 1 for 6. That's terrible. That's horrible. You see that, and you think there's no way he's playing at the end of the game. But Ty Lue was like, nope, we're throwing him in there. And now Ty Lue, I think I wasn't very high on Ty Lue. The same reason I wasn't very high on Eric Spoelstra. They have both proven me wrong in their careers. I thought they kind of just went along with LeBron and kind of LeBron run the team and all that type of stuff, but that's just not the case. I mean, Ty Lue to have the heads up to keep Westbrook in the game, and Westbrook's not all that great of a defender either. But I tell you what, it came down to was want to, man. That's all it came down to. I just look at the stat line and I'm just confused. I don't understand it. 9 points in a playoff game for Russell Westbrook? 16 misses? KD shot the ball 15 times. 16 misses from Russell Westbrook. Didn't matter. He was my MVP of that game. He was. Anyone that watched the game can tell you that. His rebounding is invaluable at the guard position. Which I think Kawhi's a pretty good rebounder too. And Zubac, he's been doing it long enough. He's got to be a good rebounder, right? Ayton's a good rebounder. KD's 7 foot 1,000. He's got to be a good rebounder. But Westbrook, that play he made at the end to block the shot, grab the rebound, throw it off Book, while Booker was complaining to the ref about the foul, is the perfect snapshot of why I have the Clippers. I think the Clippers are a good team. I'm not gonna say they win the whole thing. We'll get to that, but that snapshot of Russell Westbrook throwing it off Booker's leg waist complaining to the ref. That's the difference between regular season and playoff basketball. One team is playing playoff basketball, and one team is playing the regular season, and the one that played the playoff game won the game. For LA to steal that one on the road it's huge. That's a huge thing for them, especially because why is this fly doing? I'm not sure why he's not my guest. Oh well, I'll let him go. That's a huge win if you're the Clippers, right? Kawhi. We talked a lot about Russell Westbrook, but I tell you what, Kawhi, that man. I saw a tweet. I thought it was really interesting. It was Kawhi is almost impossible to rank all time because regular season he barely plays. He doesn't have that great of stats. He's never really All NBA really. He was. I don't think he'll get a single vote this year. He just wasn't really active. And he's kind of been that way his whole career. Load management, all that stuff. But the second it gets to playoff time, I'm not sure there's anyone else you want on your team other than Kawhi Leonard. Back to what we were saying about him being physical, rebounding, defending on both ends, want to, caring. Kawhi's got all of that in the playoffs. 38, 5-5 on 13 and 24. Yeah, that's serious. Against what is supposed to be the best team, the best trio in the league. I want to get to that. The super team is such an interesting idea in the NBA, and I think a lot of people get very up in arms about the super team, like, oh, it's ruining the NBA. Oh, the super team is this. Oh, the super team is that. Might watch the game when I know who's gonna win. Look at all the super teams that have busted over the years versus the ones that have succeeded. LeBron, D. Wade, and Bosh succeeded. Good leader, good secondary role, knew what his role was, good third guy. That knew his role, knew what he was doing, took a cut, champions. The Warriors, same way. Steph is the main dog, Clay's the second option, he knows it and loves that. I don't know if he loves it, but he's good at it. Draymond's the third guy that knows his role. On the flip side, the Lakers with Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant, Dwight Howard. Steve Nash was old, out of his prime, didn't want to give up the rock to Kobe. Kobe shot the ball too much, and Dwight Howard couldn't stay healthy. Petered out. KG, Paul Pierce, and Joe Johnson in Brooklyn. Same thing. Older, all wanted the ball, all felt like they were all. If you ask every one of them, they'd all tell you that they were the number one option and they were the best player on the team. Okay. Then we get to the Suns. Aging. Kevin Durant. Chris Paul is very old. KD's not young. He's not young. Booker. Who's the main guy? Obviously, it's KD. Does Booker think that? Booker's been the main guy in Phoenix very long. KD's the new guy. KD's obviously the more talented player. Does Booker know that? What is Chris Paul really doing out there? Can't really defend. A little too small. He's a good passer. Is he, though? I don't know. All I'm saying is, I think people get up in arms with the super team when it's only certain super teams that really do well, and I don't think the Suns are one of those. I think the Suns are going to win this series, but I'm not sure they'll make it any farther than that. I got Suns in 7, just off of pure talent, but I'm not sure they're going to get farther than that unless they figure out, what it is they're doing out there. Because part of me just, I don't know. I think they're good. Obviously, Kevin Durant's the best shot maker maybe this league's ever seen, potentially. 7 foot tall, dribble, shoot, all of that. Devin Booker, closest thing to Kobe we've seen in a while. Mid-range maestro. Chris Paul, good off the dribble, good in the pick and roll, leader. But I think people are kind of they're expecting a lot from Chris Paul, and I'm not really sure he can really give it to him anymore. Who knows? We'll see. I mean, we kind of saw it last year when they played the Mavs. Like, Chris Paul was just he didn't really play much at the end of games. Like, he wasn't really the third piece of a super team. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm interested to see how this series plays out, because it's kind of the Clippers have a big chip on their shoulder, I think, and the Suns think they've arrived. The Suns are kind of all about me, hot, flashy, dating Jenners, all that type of stuff, right? Hey, look at me, flashy. And I don't think, the leader of the Clippers doesn't speak. And Russell Westbrook might have the biggest chip on his shoulder in the entire league. I'm not so sure there's someone that wants to win more to prove everyone wrong than Russell Westbrook. I'm not sure there's anyone that can do it more than Russell Westbrook can. I'll be interested to see. It's kind of the tale of two different teams. Like I said, I got Suns in 7. I think they steal one in LA, and then they've got then they'll win Game 7 back at home. 2 great NBA playoff games. I love the NBA playoffs, man. I love March Madness, and obviously the NBA playoffs is nowhere close to that, but NBA playoffs are fun, man. A couple of good games tonight, which we'll get to. Like I said, good time to be a sports fan. All right, here's our first kind of interesting segment. Will's Wicked Wild Whiplash. I don't know. Name's still in the works, but it's going to be kind of a speed round. Just kind of listen off briefly. I may even time myself while I do this down the road. We'll see. This is just a speed round of news going on around the league, around the world with sports. Won't talk too long about a lot of the stuff, but stuff I think you should know. I'll say a couple. I'll go a minute or two on each, and then we'll move on to the next big segment. Will's Wicked Wild Whiplash. That name needs some work, but we'll figure it out. NHL playoffs start tonight. Very excited about that. I'm a big Wild fan. They're playing the Stars. I'm a Dallas boy, but born in Minneapolis, so I'm excited. I'm pulling for the Wild tonight. I'm very excited to watch that game. This will be one of my first real NHL playoff experiences. The Wild haven't made it past the second round, or they haven't made it to the second round since 2015, and have been to the playoffs every year since then. So I'm hoping we can, without Eriksson Ek, it's gonna be tough. But big Wild guy tonight. We'll talk. Well, I'm sure we'll break down the game tomorrow. But that's super fun. News about the in-season tournament for the NBA came out. For any of you that may not know, the CBA and the the NBA, which is like the Players Association and the league, came to an agreement to add tournament in the middle of the season, which I think is pretty good. The rewards that each team gets came out today. I think they're pretty interesting. Each player that participates will get different shares of money, obviously. The winner will get $500K per player. The runner-up will get $200K per player. The semi-loser will get $100K per player. And the quarter loser will get $50K per player. Now, obviously, that's not a whole lot of money. $50K is a lot, but I think this will encourage people to play in it, and which is the goal, right? We want to see more intense, more big basketball. And, I mean, $50K, I'll pay for a fine, right? I mean, Draymond Green's going to want to be playing in that. Luka's going to be playing that for sure. I don't know. I like it. I'm interested to see how Adam Silver in the league kind of monitors that, but I think that'd be a pretty good addition. 500K, 200K, 100K, 50K. I think it's good. I think it gives the players some incentive to do it. It'd be pretty cool if they. I think another thing they could do to add maybe a little bit more stakes if people still aren't playing in it. Maybe match it with charity, right? So if they give 500K to the winner of each player, maybe they done another 500K to the charity of the player's choice. Then that could add some value, or maybe 10% of it, or whatever, 5% of it goes to charity. I think something like that could be a pretty cool idea to get players behind it. The Pistons are interviewing the Pels assistant, Jaron Collins, for their head job. I think everyone kind of knew that was coming, but that'll be pretty interesting. Tyler Hero, his x-ray on his hand came back bad. He's a broken hand, so he'll be out for, obviously, the remainder of the playoffs. We'll be watching the rehab. Giannis went out of the game early with back problems. He's possible to return for Game 2, Shams said. So hopefully we see him back. I think the Bucks are going to take care of them pretty easily regardless. But interesting stuff to know. I thought this was pretty interesting. The Oakland Athletics, their fans are playing an anti-boycott, which I think is pretty cool. They obviously the Athletics spend the least amount of money. And the fans want to say, hey, we're not the problem. We're not why that front office isn't, making any moves or anything like that. We care. We want to see, good baseball. I think that's pretty interesting, and I hope it works out. I don't know. An anti-boycott sounds pretty good to me. So, speaking of the MLB, they released their official power rankings for the first week of the season. It goes Braves, Rays, Jays, Yankees, Stros, Brewers, Dodgers, Twins, Mets, Padres. I think I would put the Tampa Bay Rays over the Braves. The Stros are a little high for me. I would drop them down below the Dodgers, if not below the Twins. I think the Padres have a great team too. When Tatis gets back, they'll be solid. Mavs fans, good news. Boban was in Dallas today. It's tough being a fan right now. That's all I've got. It's been quiet in Dallas lately, and that's the best news I've gotten all day is that Boban is back in Dallas. Visiting. I don't know if he's going to be playing or not. We'll see. John Del Filippo. This is a pretty cool story that we read. I don't know if you saw it. He's the coach for the New Orleans Breakers, the USFL team. He was diagnosed with a rare spinal condition and was told he would never walk again. But he swore when he was laying in his medical bed, that if he was ever able to coach again, he was going to run onto the field. And he did that on Sunday. If you haven't watched the video, it's great. He gets really emotional after. That's what sports is all about, man. Getting people back on their feet, giving something to cheer about, giving something to push forward and be excited about. That's awesome stuff, man. If you haven't watched the video, give it a watch. It's pretty cool stuff. Buda Baker wants out of Arizona. Who doesn't want out of Arizona? That franchise is in shambles right now. They can't get out of their own way, sadly. We'll talk more about Arizona later, but all I'm saying is Buda Baker would look unbelievable with a star on the side of his head. But that's neither here nor there. The Rangers City Connect uniforms came out today, and They're not good. They're atrocious. Thank goodness I'm not a Rangers fan. God, they are tough to look at, in my opinion. All the history behind it is cool. Like, they got a rope on the side of the pants and all the different logos mean different things, but I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. They look like softball uniforms. I'm all about a great uniform. I love a great uniform. But when it comes to baseball, keep it old school. White pants, light gray pants. That's it. Or the only caveat to that is the powder blue. I think those three are the only acceptable colors for baseball pants. If you wear anything else, you're looking at a softball team, and I can't get behind it. I grew up playing baseball my entire life, and colored pants it's not a good look for me. Pinstripes are also okay, obviously, but as long as they're white and black or white and navy or white and gray, I guess. I don't know if I've seen a white and gray, but you know what I mean. So yeah, that was Will's Wicked Wild Whiplash. I don't know. That was pretty interesting, pretty cute, pretty good stuff to be, sports fans might want to know. All right, let's get to the biggest news of the day. In every market, in every industry, in every everyday life, whenever we're buying something, searching for something, we always, if, a Starbucks is $7. I had a $7 Starbucks today, which is just ridiculous. But, yeah, obviously I have to weigh the cost of that over the reward of the coffee, right? Obviously. I promise there's a point to this. But the cost of that coffee is not just the $7 I paid for it, right? It's also, what else would I have done with that $7? If I didn't have the coffee, would I be asleep? I wouldn't be able to do the show that I really want to do. You know what I mean? Like, there's more costs than just what the $7, than just the $7 you paid for it. Which leads me to the Jalen Hurts contract. I had a buddy, when the news broke, one of my buddies that he's pretty on it when it comes to sports takes. Like he's a smart kid. He had a really interesting point. He said, "Wow, I cannot believe the Eagles overpaid so much for Hurts. That makes Dak's contract not look so bad." And I thought it was the perfect kind of snapshot of what the NFL free agency market, especially for quarterbacks, is and what it's like. Because if you're the Eagles, right, you give. Let me see what the contract was exactly. I believe it was 250 total with more guaranteed. You can't let Jalen Hurts walk. You can't. And obviously, what they gave him was a lot of money. 5 years, $255, highest paid player in NFL history. There you go. 5 years, $255. That is a crap ton of money for someone that made it to the Super Bowl. What I'm saying is they're paying for more than just the $255 plus whatever it is. Like, you can't let Jalen go somewhere else. And you have to have him on your team, because if not, then what was the point? Then that the market for quarterbacks changes literally with every contract that's signed, right? 3-4 years ago, when Dak signed that contract, everyone was like, "This is unbelievable. This is crazy." And now, it's still a lot of money for someone who hasn't done a whole lot, but it's not outrageous, right? And I think you can see this with the Ravens, with what's going on with Lamar. They could have extended him. They should have and could have extended him 2 off seasons ago. Usually you extend the summer before the last year on their contract. Usually. It's just kind of the way it's been for forever, and it's just kind of what you do. And they didn't. They said, "You know what? We want to see more. He's kind of injury prone. He was just coming off of an injury that summer. We'll see." You know what I mean? And then, lo and behold, Deshaun Watson signs the most guaranteed money ever. Now look what's happening with Lamar. If they would have signed him for an average quarterback salary back then, even above average. If they give him, more money than we gave Dak, everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're overpaying for Lamar, da 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 da. But I guarantee you it's not 250 guaranteed. I guarantee you, not only is he still a Raven right now, he will be making a lot less money down the stretch, and you can keep him around. See, now they're stuck in this game where the quarterback, paying your quarterback is kind of a double-edged sword, right? If you pay him too early, you can't afford to have good people on your team. But if you pay him late, you can't keep him. So, money now is always worth more than money later. So, I think if you... I would have paid Jalen. And I would have given him that much money, if not more, to keep him around. And that kind of gets into what I want to talk about as... I'm going to put some teams into... I call them tiers, but they're not really tiers. They're kind of more baskets or groups. And I think this contract will kind of decide where the Eagles go in this bunching, where they fit in the bunching of players. The first one I have, and this is for quarterback and overall just team success based on the quarterback's ability, salary, all that stuff. The first one I have is top tier or paradise. Those are teams that have their quarterback and know they have their guy and are okay paying him. And I think everyone's like, okay, that's a lot of money, but he's worth it. That's teams like Bengals, Jets, Bills, and Chiefs, Bengals, Bets. Oh my God, I cannot talk. Chiefs, Bengals, Jets, Bills, Chargers. I think everyone can kind of agree they've got their guy. They might be paying him a lot. Herbert's due for an extension. I think the Jets are a little bit shaky with Aaron Rodgers, but there's no denying his talent, and he'll get an extension, assuming he gets there. I mean, at this point, who even really knows? But this is assuming that Aaron Rodgers gets there, signs an extension. I think everyone can kind of agree. Obviously, Mahomes, obviously Joe Burrow, they're going to get a lot of money, and they deserve it, and they should get that money, and they'll stay where they are. The next grouping I have is the up-and-coming stars. Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence. I put Pittsburgh in this list. I think even though Kenny Pickett might not be their guy right now, I think he gives you enough flexibility, and you can build around him if he ends up developing, taking that second-year gap, gap and increase the way he should. I think he'll be what they want, and I think they can build off him up and coming. I have Panthers and Texans in here too. Obviously, they're not in that situation right now, but 2 months from now they will be when they get Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. They'll be up and coming. They'll pay their guys, but they don't have to pay them right now, so they're kind of putting it off. And then this is the worst place to be, QB purgatory. Whether it's financial or talent-wise, these teams they're stuck with what they've got, and they can't really, get out of what they've got. Cowboys, Vikings, Broncos, Cardinals, Browns. Obviously, Cowboys and Vikings, they don't have the talent to really, or the time, for different reasons. It doesn't make sense for them to drop what they have to try to get something new. They're caught in between, because Kirk Cousins and Dak show sparks of being great quarterbacks that can win big games on the road, can win playoff games. So you want to invest in them and keep them around, but they're average. So you're kind of caught in this limbo of paying them, not paying them, keeping them around. They don't have any trade value because they're getting a little bit older. You're in purgatory. You can't really do anything. You got to keep them around. You can't ship them off because you have to have a quarterback. And they're pretty good. They're serviceable. They win big games. They win their division, but they can't really. You're not comfortable taking a step back. I think Jerry Jones is not going to be taking any steps back until he is no longer the owner. Same thing with Vikings. Kirk Cousins got paid. Dak got paid, and they'll get paid again for the same teams, even though they're not in that top group of, these guys are great. Broncos, Cardinals, and Browns are in. They're in financial. I mean, the Broncos are in. They might be in the worst shape in the league with Russell Wilson. If Russell Wilson doesn't get back to being Russell Wilson with Sean Payton, then would not want to be in Denver. I would not want to be in Denver. Once again, purgatory. He's got so much dead capital. If you trade him or cut him, you have to keep him around. Same thing with the Browns. No one's going to touch Deshaun Watson. No one wants him. And he's got all that guaranteed money. They can't build anybody around him. They're in purgatory. Same thing with the Cardinals. Kyler Murray, big personality, paid a lot of money. What are you going to get out of him? He gets kind of hurt, kind of peters out at the end of the year. Purgatory. You can't move him. You can't get someone else in. You can't really drop him and draft someone new. You're kind of stuck. And then my favorite category is just no one knows what's going on. No one knows what they're doing at quarterback. No one knows what they're doing in their organization. This is the Ravens. Pretty self-explanatory. The Raiders. No one, are they keeping Garoppolo? Is Garoppolo the answer? Are they going to sign him long-term? Is he even signed with the team? No one really knows there. Colts. Are they going to... Who's their quarterback going to be? Are they going to draft? Are they going to pick someone up? Are they going to trade for Lamar? What's their plan? No one really knows. Niners. I put the Niners on this list. The Niners should be up and coming too, because are they going to go with Trey Lance? Are they going to go with Bryce Purdy? What are they going to do? No one knows. So those are the lists. Paradise, Purgatory, Up and Coming, and no one knows. And I think, depending on how Lamar Jackson evolves and how he does in this contract, they're either going to be, because they were up and coming with Jalen, and now they're out of that tier. Now they're either going to be top or Purgatory. I think it'll work out. I would pay him. You can't let him go somewhere else. You can't not have him start over. You've already lost enough this free agency. You got to sign him. If you weren't going to give him that money, someone else will. Any of those no one knows what's going on teams would have taken Jalen Hurts in a heartbeat. Atlanta, you could put Atlanta down there. They don't know what they're doing. Someone would have given him that money. And as a Cowboys fan, I love it because I'm not very high on Jalen Hurts. But by the same token, I can say you got to pay him, all that stuff. That's enough NFL. Let's talk a little bit about college. The best sport on earth, college football, in my opinion. Spring games happened 2 weekends ago, this past weekend, and this coming weekend. Which is super cool. I know there's a lot of people that don't love the spring games. I love them. I went to TCU spring game. We had fun. It's a good experience, kind of go out there, especially with the new coach and new coordinator. It's fun to kind of see, who's playing well, who's playing bad, what formations we running, We had discounted beer and discounted snacks, so that made it kind of fun. I went with all my buddies before we went out to the bars that night. It was fun. It was a good time. As far as TCU is concerned, we'll talk about this more on the podcast. But big winners. Hoover looked good. I'm still riding with Chandler, but Hoover looked really good. JPR is the man. He was making people look silly. Not a lot of the best players played, and I know a lot of people aren't super high on the spring games. Not everyone really plays. It's kind of hard to get a real gauge on the team, that type of stuff. Especially those guys in Auburn, they don't really love spring games, but they haven't been to a national championship in the last 2 years, so there's that. Like I said, I enjoyed the spring game. It was fun. It was at night. There's a lot of people there. Another spring game that I was very excited to see was the Texas spring game. I didn't watch it. I saw the highlights and all the ESPN articles and all that about Arch just not looking good. But no matter how much ESPN or Fox or whoever it is wants to put Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever they want to press to you, Arch is not going to be the starting quarterback this year. He's just not. Quinn is going to be the starting quarterback no matter how badly people don't want that to be the case. Quinn he's just a better quarterback. He's going to win the job. They're going to redshirt Arch, and then Arch will take over next year when Quinn either transfers or goes to the draft. I saw something about Quinn getting drafted a couple days ago, and I was drinking some water and spit it out. I don't think that kid's going to get... we'll see. We'll see. I hope he succeeds. I hope he does great, but I just don't see the appeal there. All right, well, as far as segments go, that's all I've got. I think it's a pretty good first episode. Let's talk about the big games for tonight. We got Nets and Sixers at 6:30 on TNT. Warriors at Kings. Let's pick these games too. Why not? While we're here. Next, Sixers at 6:30. I am taking the Sixers. I think that's a pretty obvious pick. Anyone that picks the Nets, I think it's kind of an interesting choice. At 6:30 on TNT. Warriors Kings. I am taking the Warriors in this one. Funny enough, at 9 o'clock. That's on TNT as well. Rangers Royals. I am at Rangers at Royals at 6:45 on Bally Sports. I am taking the Rangers. Even though the Royals are quite good, I'm taking the Rangers there. Jays at Stros at 7 o'clock on ESPN Plus. I am taking the Blue Jays. Best 1, 2, 3 in the league. Braves at Padres. I am taking the Padres tonight. That's at 8:40 on MLB Network. Kings at Oilers. This is playoff hockey. I am taking the Oilers. That's at 9 o'clock tonight on ESPN. Islanders at Hurricanes. I am taking the... I don't really know much about either of these teams, so I'm going to take the Islander. No, I'll take the Hurricanes. I'll take the home team. Hurricanes, that's at 6 o'clock on ESPN2. Panthers, Bruins. I'm taking the Bruins. I think the Bruins are winning the whole thing. You didn't hear me say that. I think you just think it's the way it's going to go. That's at 6:30 on ESPN. Wild at Stars. I am taking the Wild, of course. That's at 8:30 on ESPN2. A lot of good games going on tonight. I'll be watching as much as I can. Get ready for tomorrow. Yeah, pretty great day of sports. To recap, I mean, Lakers in 5, Suns in 7. Eagles did the right thing by paying Jalen. I want to end every episode with an inspirational quote. I don't know, maybe a little corny, but I think inspirational quotes are cool and important. So yeah, hopefully you'll tune in tomorrow. I would love to, I'd love to kind of get this thing going off the ground and kind of see where it takes us. Also send me questions. Once a week I wanted to do like a Q&A, like a mailbag type thing. That'd be kind of fun. We'll see. If anyone sends me questions, maybe every Wednesday we'll read them. I don't know. Or maybe every Friday. Get kind of fun. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, send in your questions. You can put them in the comment section. You can send them to the email. You can tweet at me. I would love to see your questions. I'd love to answer them. Yeah, thank you for a great first episode. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for listening to your Daily Sports Kick. Dreams without goals are just dreams, and ultimately fuel disappointment. On the road to achieving your dreams, as much as you apply discipline, it's even more important to apply consistency. Because without commitment, you will never start. But without consistency, you'll never finish. I think that's pretty interesting. I'm trying to be more consistent with both this and the podcast, and maybe, who knows, maybe it'll work out. That was Denzel. Washington said that. I think that was pretty good way to end the first episode. It's all about being consistent and committed. So yeah, hope everyone has a good rest of your day. Whether you're going to work, school, day off tomorrow, I hope you do it with a smile. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you guys tomorrow.